Welcome to Legacy Conversations, a channel where we preserve military memories and history.
Hello everyone, it's Koos here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode. It's where I speak about certain books which I wrote under another name. And these books are very unique because they take a certain subject and then it's researched. And it's based upon facts, which is not to say it's the truth and nothing but the truth. It's fictional or fictionalized. But the methods used inside it and the history inside it and the spycraft, the techniques are all totally 100% correct. So it is true that some people, many people wrote to me and said they've never read one of these books without learning something. And I'm very proud of it, and I'm very happy when I hear such things because the books are written as warnings. They are written to educate, with a good story in the background, of course, but they contain a lot of military history, things like that. And as I always say to you in the other videos as well, and I'm sure some might get annoyed by it, but I don't know which video you've seen, so I have to repeat myself, is that where the characters start talking about certain things, if they start talking about, say, the Entebbe raid, which was done by the Israelis, or they start talking about Lufthansa Mogadishu rescue or things like that, you can really take for granted it's well researched and it's true. It is well-known facts in my world anyway, and you can take for granted that whatever he said there is not nonsense. It's not fiction. It's actually what happened, and it's very important because you know that history actually repeats, and because history repeats, it's very important that you can go back and look at it, and from there on comes warnings. And yeah, I had to ban a few people with the previous videos who became very upset because certain statements I made, which is, of course, are inside the books as well. I mean, I don't rate the US and NATO militaries highly at all. I think they're Mickey Mouse. And I don't rate intelligence services of them highly either. Right? Why not? I've seen them in action and I've worked with them. I've seen them in Sub-Saharan Africa, and what I've seen did not impress me at all. And so I warn. But sometimes when you warn people, even with the best of intentions, that they're not as good as they think they are, they should wake up and up their standards. They take it very personal, and instead of saying, well, you know, let's think about that, they don't do that. They just get angry and they start becoming very attacking and very insulting. Well, the only thing is what's just going to happen if you do that to me on Legacy, I'll just chase you away. I just ban you. I'm not even going to get into an argument with you. I'm just going to go. I don't need you. And that's our rules at Legacy, and that's the way it is. But I want to speak to you about Name Wrangler. It's one of those books which I think is available in South Africa on print on demand, which means you just go to the description of every video, including this one, and you look for the description. You click on the description, you order the book. It will be printed in soft copy for you. It will be couriered to you. We don't make a lot of money out of it, to be honest. I always say to people who come to me who wants to write books and publish books, and there's no real money in it unless you are already famous, you know, like a famous general, or you're a pop star, or you're famous for some reason. Perhaps you murdered your wife, I don't know, infamously. Then you know, your chances of you making a good living out of books are zero. There's just too many, and it's not something which people do anymore. You know, people want to see videos. They're not interested in reading, and I think we probably the last generation who love reading. I look at the youngsters of today. They on their cell phones, you know, they want to be entertained. There's like fast food, and it's okay. Each generation to himself. But what I always say to you guys is that if you support the books, my own or the GMJ books, you're supporting Legacy, because the money which is made upon it comes back to a show, which we then can use to bring you more videos and to support For sure, that's what it's about. But they are really good books, and they do deal with certain topics. And Name Wrangler deals with hostage rescue. And not just any hostage rescue, it's to rescue somebody from a C-150 Hercules. So it's not the usual ones where you storm a Boeing or the Airbus, which is it's a run of the mill. Special forces can do that, especially the new SANDF. Special forces are really, really good at counterterrorism. In fact, they are 10 times better than the old ones because this is what they do. You know, the old ones was orientated on bush warfare and maritime, things like that. But these guys can do that as well, and they do it very, very well. See that episode I spoke to you about, the Special Forces Museum. I was so impressed with them. But they have capabilities on counter-terrorism, which is frightening. If you're a terrorist, of course. And South African Police Special Task Force, I don't know, because they don't really speak to me, but the former members say to me they're still very good. They still can do certain things very, very well, including counter-terrorism. But here we deal with a C-150, which is hijacked by a bunch of, these Greenpeace people. And by the way, Greenpeace is designated as a terrorist organization in certain places. Just so that you know about it. We do discuss Greenpeace in this book, in Name Wrangler, and look at all their crimes and terrorism. It's amazing what they did and what they didn't do. And of course, we all have this idea of, you know what, we're protecting the environment, we're protecting the animals, and therefore we can become criminals and terrorists, and it's okay, and you have to love us. You know what? Break the law and I arrest you. And come with crap to me. I don't care what your intentions are. It's written in the Bible that good intentions is paved to the way to hell. The fact of the matter is you can't just go and blow up somebody's whaling fleet, because you think you should do it. Or go and put little nails and things inside trees so the guys who's cutting the trees was planted to be cut. We're not talking about wild trees, we're talking about plantations, which we need. We need to make paper from and other things. You go and hammer nails into it so the guys are cutting it, that blade explodes, a guy gets seriously injured, if not killed. What the hell is wrong with you? I mean, really, it's like, yeah, let me not say something about climate change either. Look, guys, the books, the GMJ books are very straightforward. They come out with truths and things which a lot of people don't know about, and they shock when they read it, which is why I always say to you, if a character starts saying something, then listen up, because it's well researched. I don't say those things just because I decided I want to write it. No, by saying it so that you can learn from it. That's the purpose of the books, is to warn and to educate, all with a good story behind. So to rescue a C-150 is not as easy as a Boeing or an Airbus or a civilian airline. That is bread and butter work. Now, it's very interesting because when we got one of the police special task force members on, both from the railway police and the South African police, that's when he actually said that he introduced a rescue scenario on a C-150 as well. I wasn't aware of it. Normally they don't practice against such aircraft, and I deliberately took that aircraft in the book because I wanted to make it as hard as possible. And so this is all about how to rescue an aircraft and how to do it. I made it even more difficult, I suppose, to put a whole bunch of horrible snakes on board the aircraft, and you have to cope with them as well. And it takes place in Madagascar. It's interesting, these things. If you listen to that series I made about hostage survival, then you would know that the people who come to rescue you is normally based upon the flag which the aircraft is flying, the same with the ship. So if this aircraft is registered in the US, or British Airways or whatever, then there's a good chance that if it's British Airways, that the SAS or the SBS will come and rescue you, and we don't have a problem with them. They could. But if it is, say, Egypt Air, because you wanted to save $20, then yeah, the Egyptian commandos are going to come and kill you. We saw them in Malta, and we do discuss that in this book as well. We look at the different rescue operations. We look at the Entebbe raid, exactly what happened there. A lot of things came out there, which is fascinating. Like they had to blow up, I think, which is Uganda. They had to blow up the Air Force as well because they had no air support. They could fly in with their C-130s, but they had no combat aircraft to protect them, so they had to blow up the Air Force. It wasn't much of an Air Force, but they did. It was, of course, a success, but something else came out of it, which we call the Entebbe principle. But I discussed that in the series of surviving as a hostage. But it's in this book as well. It is very good for you to have that knowledge, because if you ever find yourself in that situation, you should be able to remember and save yourself. When we look at the Lufthansa raid, the Lufthansa Boeing, which was Mogadishu, where the West German Special Forces went in. Now, that was fascinating because just after that, the South African Railway Police Special Task Force, a couple of their members actually received training from the same guys who stormed this very aircraft. We made episodes on it. That was very good. And then we looked at the two failures as well, the big failures. It was Operational Eagle Claw, where the Americans tried to rescue the Iranian hostages. I don't want to say Akshay. A lot of things went wrong there. A lot of people died. A lot of things came out there, which was fantastically forward thinking. Like they wanted to land their C-130s inside the soccer stadium. Yeah, but no, inside. Can you do that? Yes, you can do it. If you go to Codename Angelique, you will see them actually testing it on their gliders, how to stop that glider almost in mid-air. They were using the same technique as the Americans were testing out on Eagle Claw. Well, they didn't do it because they never even got to the stadium, but we discussed that. We discussed the US Marine pilots who got so scared that they actually ran away. They left their helicopters and Sikorskis, they left them idling there. They didn't even switch them off. That's how quickly they ran away to get out after the accident took place. Were we on orders to run that quickly? I don't know. What I do know is that the Delta commander actually called them cowards in public. He had to apologize afterwards. I will not apologize for calling them that. I think anybody who runs away and abandon your equipment like that without reason, totally without reason. The Iranians didn't even know about it. They got there very well 8 or 10 hours later even, and those helicopters are still flying. Not good enough, right? Not good enough. But they learned from it, and that's a good thing. They learned from it. And then we also look at the Munich Olympics, what happened there and what went wrong there. Then it came out that the Germans actually had no capacity whatsoever to deal with this. Man, they were astonishingly bad. That's why those Israeli athletes, all of them died. They were just beyond bad. But from that came the dedicated special forces units to do counterterrorism. So it's fascinating. It's a fascinating book. It's almost 500 pages, but close to 500 pages. And we really go into details. We look at how these teams would operate. We would look at the intelligence behind it. Because I can assure you, unless there's an immediate action drill where you arrive on the scene and the terrorists have start shooting or going inside the inside and you have to go in, you go in blind. Normally, it's not like that. Normally, you do know exactly who's the terrorist, you know where he is, you know what he looks like, and you know what weapons he has, what explosives he has, you know where his hostages. You know all these things before you go in. But you don't get that out of the air. The intelligence people will actually plant their microphones and they were listening in. They would put their cameras all the spycraft. We explain to you in this book how that happens and how we do it and how we can delay this aircraft, perhaps by shooting out the tire with a sniper, silent sniper, how we can set up a sniper teams around it. How these guys would then actually approach it in their teams and storm it, and how they start shooting, and it is fascinating. And these days also the damn terrorists are quite clever. It's always a left and a right. You do something left, they do something right, and then you equal again, and then you have to think out of the box. What they do these days is they actually have another terrorist which doesn't show himself. And so he or they, might be more than one, might be sitting around there, and you have to clearly see if there's any communication, things like that, to identify the bastard. There are ways of identifying them. Let's call them a hidden terrorist, but I was asked not to reveal now, so I'm not. It's not in the book for obvious reasons. I'm sure you'll understand, because we don't want to give him the terrorist any further advice or assistance. But I will say this: don't think the terrorists are stupid. They might be insane in your eyes. They might be doing things which are not right. But at the end of the day, they're hardly ever insane. It doesn't fit their profile. You need people who can follow orders. You need people who are actually dedicated to a cause, even if a cause is wrong. So we do look at the profile of a terrorist as well. It's part of your studies on counterterrorism 101. You need to understand what you deal with. Again, if you go and look at the series on surviving hostage as a hostage, I go into some details on that, and I wrote a few books under my own name over that as well. I think the book is called Terrorist Takedown. It was almost banned because apparently you're not allowed to use the word terrorist takedown. It is. I don't know what it is. I don't understand these Takar and liberals, to be honest with you. I don't get them. The book is what it said. There's terrorist takedown. There's a terrorist attack. Then you take the terrorist down. Well, what else must you do? You want me to bring him sacred cookies and give him coffee and let's talk about Jesus? No, not. Don't misunderstand me. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. I'm probably more fanatical about my religion than most people. What I'm trying to say is that these type of people, when you're standing there with a bomb, a suicide bomber, or you're standing there wanting to kill people, this is not the time to approach him like that. You approach him with a 3006 in the head, and that's nice. Think of his damn problem in life, or whatever caliber you have available. And you shoot him dead as quickly as possible before you can detonate that thing. And that's how you do it. But when you go in and you move in, and the first guy double tap the terrorist down, the second guy will come past, the third guy will double tap him again just to make sure. So by the time that the team has cleared that room, terrorist has been shot 8 or 10 times. He is as dead as he can be. Why? Man, I don't want him to get up behind me and throw a hand grenade or do something to me. And I don't care if he's female or not, but I have to tell you, this comes out in the book as well, I think. Or it might be another book, but we tested this. We took a very, very handsome, very, very beautiful German woman, a photo of her now, of a Bader Meinhof gang of the 1970s. And she's an attractive girl. I mean, if you look at her, you would, as a man, you wouldn't mind being with her. Let me put it like that. She's pretty, man. And so we would put her up in a classical scenario where she's even got a Scorpion, a Czech Scorpion submachine gun, and she's obviously a hostage taker. And then you go in, you shoot for hostage takers. It's for a prick. You know how we do these things. And so the male operators wouldn't shoot her. They would hesitate, and you would kick their ass until they shoot her. And I thought to myself, let's see the female operators, because there's a lot of them in the intelligent world, and they're good, Would they shoot her? And yeah, no problem. And they would walk in and just shoot her. No problem. And then I thought to myself, Koos, why don't we put a handsome guy there, something like Brad Pitt or whatever. We put like like a real attractive guy, not me, like a square jawed, a guy with the muscles, everything, put him there. Do you think the females would shoot him? The men did, by the way, no problem. They shot him to pieces. They had no problem with him. Would the female operator shoot him like that? That was the question. And the answer is yes. No problem. No problem. I just shot. I don't know if they were angry about life or anything like that, man. I don't know. But it was an interesting experiment. There was another interesting experiment in one of the books. I think it's codenamed Elise, where we wanted to see if it's possible to swim underwater if you have a blackout mask on. In other words, if you can't see out of the mask, it's black. Like, let's say it's at night. Can you swim in a straight line without looking at your compass or whatever? Is it possible to do that? And then we had all sorts of theories, about, I can't say this here, you have to read the book. But we looked at a woman's chest to see if it's even, and I don't want to insult anybody, but that's a technique because we had a theory that if it's not even, then for the same size, which most are not, then they should turn left or right, like a radar almost. But there was one girl where actually, I don't know how she did it, but she swam in a straight line underwater with her eyes closed. You might say to me, so what? No, you go and try that in your swimming pool. And I don't mean kicking you away. No, you stand there, you go down, and you start swimming with your eyes closed in a straight line. I'm not sure it can be done physically, but she did it. She was a sniper. She had tremendous abilities. Well, she still does. But how she did it, I don't know. Anyway, this is the type of things which comes out in the books. It's very fascinating. I hope you enjoy the book. As I say, it is in South Africa available on print on demand. Just look at the description of all the videos. You'll find the books which are available in South Africa. But it's also available on Amazon in audio, as well as on Kindle, as well as in hardcover and softcover. So I hope you enjoy the book. It's a great book. If you want to learn about hostage rescues, then do so with this book. Start with this book. But there are other hostage rescue books as well. Codenamed Caribbean has to do with rescuing of a passenger ship. Very, very difficult. And then there was codenamed Rebecca 65, is to rescue a train, which is another major difficult thing to do. We all South African police, railway police, special task force are very good at that. I don't know if those skills has gone through because they don't exist since 1986 anymore. But you need to be able to do it. And I know that in Rebecca 65, and I will make a video on it. Obviously, the name Rebecca refers to my wife. Rebecca, we all know. The code name books all has, there's a lot of hidden things in it. There's a lot of jokes in it, which you might not know unless you know me. So if you're a foreigner and you don't know me, you wouldn't necessarily understand why I used the name Rebecca 65. I simply used it because Rebecca was born in 1965, and that's her name. Well, she has other names as well, but that's the name we use. And so, so in that book, we also looked at what the Netherlands, the Dutch army tried to do in the 1970s with a self-Molotov terrorist who took a train. Oh man, they were so proud of themselves. I don't know why. Because they just shot the train. They shot like 18,000 bullets through it. And somehow they missed everyone, including the hostages and the hostage takers, who then decided to give up and let it go. But that's not what you expect from a NATO country, do you? You expect a little bit of finesse. You expect a little bit of go in, double tap the people perhaps, don't harm the hostages. Is it that hard to do? Yes, it's hard. It's much harder than attacking a base or something with air support and mortars, but it's totally different scenarios. Can you really put the two together? I don't think so. I don't think you can do that. So let me rather say both are very difficult, and both would need specialist training. Anyway, Code Name Wrangler. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you for listening this far. God bless.